The men of our generation are on self-improvement. They wake up every morning at 6 a.m, have a cold shower, work for 8 hours. They go to the gym, come home and eat some chicken, rice and broccoli. On their computer they've got a YouTube video on, a self-improvement one obviously. Then they go to sleep, they wake up the next day again and they go through exactly the same cycle. But the men of our tribe are different. While we work every day relentlessly towards our purposes, we don't forget to stop for a second and smell the flowers. When we see a beautiful sunset, we pause for thought. We make sure to give time to our loved ones every single day. We consume beauty in the form of literature, art and music. These pursuits are not distractions, but they make us so much stronger. Which one do you want to be, bro? The blind self-improvement zombie just walking through going Hanzo, Hanzo? Or the alive man, the spirited individual who with a burning desire to live? If you can watch this video from start to finish, then I can teach you how to evolve from self-improvement. I can teach you something no video before this one has ever done. The basic problem with self-improvement, and I'm going to keep it really simple, is that it gives men boring lives. They start on self-improvement, they're doing all the habits, they've got a fully fledged routine, and they get bored of it. There is nothing left that is at all exciting. Men on self-improvement have become so obsessed by the idea of discipline that they've forgotten why they've even gotten onto self-improvement in the first place. If you're far along in your self-improvement journey, then I want you to look back. Think back 2-3 years down the line when you first ever watched that NoFap YouTube video. You were on YouTube and you came across that video by Improvement Pill or whoever the fuck was big back then. And you sat down and you watched it and you started thinking. You were like, fuck, I do feel that all the time. And you decided to go on NoFap, right? And 2-3 days down the line, you were feeling the benefits, right, bro? You were sat there, you were like, fuck, I'm energetic as fuck, I feel so confident. I walk into a room and all the girls start staring at me. I feel so alive and so burning and so full. Do you remember those superpowers, bro? That feeling of enthusiasm that you got from self-improvement. But now look at yourself. You're 3 years down the line and you've improved so much more than the little boy back then would have ever thought you could have. But now you're depressed. Now you're living this highly regimented life and you're so bored that it's killing the fire within you. Now what if I told you could get that all back again? You could get those superpowers back again, but the thing is, those superpowers were never about NoFap. They were never actually because you quit porn, right? Those superpowers were because for the first time ever you had hope. You had love for life. A disciplined man has a regimented life, right? He wakes up at a certain time, has a certain block of time given to work. He eats at a certain time, goes to the gym at a certain time and does a certain workout. Then he comes home and goes to bed at a certain time. There is no randomness left in his life. There is no sense of excitement. There is nothing to build. The thing is with NoFap, when we all first started it was so special for us because we could implement it into our wider lives, right? We were so excited to find out about this thing, about NoFap, because we could take the superpowers we got and we could bring them into school or we could bring them into fucking work or whatever. We could bring them into the party and we could use them. They felt like something because we'd be getting attention back from them. The problem now is that a lot of our self-improvement, it exists in a vacuum. There is no randomness left in our life, no opportunity. What we do now is we're living this kind of monk mode lifestyle, right, bro, where you're sitting inside and you're not talking to girls because that's bad, and you're not drinking because that's bad, and you're not going out with your friends because that's bad. But what does that do? It builds up all this improvement that you're doing, right? It just builds up into a big kind of ball inside of you that one day will just explode outwards. And it's a vicious cycle too, bro, because here's the thing is the less excitement you have in life, the less of that kind of conduit you have to release the improvement that you're doing, the less ability you'll actually have to do the work. If you put a man on this regimented life, if you put him on this day by day, hour by hour timetable, where there is no time for him to experience anything else, then do you know what happens? Is you'll put him into his work times and he'll do the work, but he'll spend half the time procrastinating, scrolling on his phone because he is so starved of dopamine. Not in the way TikTok kids are starved of dopamine. He has none in his life. He's not like his sensitivity to dopamine's too high or some shit. There is just no dopamine left, bro. This guy is on monk mode. He's been on monk mode for the past 3 months. And he has nothing. Nothing gives him pleasure anymore. So he will just procrastinate the shit out of everything because there is no motivation left in him. He can have all the discipline in the world, but if he has no fire, then there is no point. It's like that famous saying, right? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And the same thing goes with self-improvement. You can bring the guy to the fucking laptop. You can bring him to the 4-hour work slot, but you can't actually make him do the work. The discipline is bringing the guy there, and the fire is the actual will to do it. There have been times in my life where I have done this. I've gone through intense periods of this kind of imbalanced living where I've worked every single day for 12 hours, where I've gone to bed at midnight and I have woken up at 6 in the morning and done 6 or 7 hours of work. But do you know what it did? Is after like a month or 2 months of doing that, what happened was the fire within me was extinguished. I'd wake up and I'd kind of just stare at my computer, or I'd end up watching YouTube videos on self-improvement instead. I wouldn't actually do any of the work that I'd set about to do. This intensity, this kind of regimented lifestyle, this lack of randomness and fun and opportunity and beauty in the world had destroyed my motivation and my willpower. It teaches you to only eat certain foods, to forego relationships with women, with your friends. It teaches you that you have to push yourself so hard, to work so hard. It turns you into a shell of a man. And I'm not saying take a step back, right? If you're in this position where you're working every single day like I was, don't take a step back. Keep going. Keep working as exactly as you are, right? Reach the point of burnout. Because here's the thing is, burnout will be one of the great educators in your life. If you can reach the point where you burn out, where you you get to the point where you can't do any more, then it gives you a beautiful opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to reevaluate your life. Here's the thing, right? Is the extremes that self-improvement pushes, they do create burnout. They just do. Everyone will burn out at some point during self-improvement. It'll be either the guy that's like so religiously following NoFap that like after 30 days, he'll have the biggest fucking blowout 3-day wank session of his life, right? It'll be the guy who's following monk mode, who's just at the end of it, so bored that they'll go on like a 3-day YouTube, Instagram and TikTok binge. Like these things, there are levels that they're just too extreme, man. Like monk mode. Who the fuck wants to live like a monk, bro? Like take cold showers for an example, right, bro? Like if you've been doing self-improvement for 3 months and you've been on cold showers that whole time, then ask yourself honestly, is it really that hard to do it anymore? Like for me, I will kind of wake up and I'll get into the shower every morning and I'll switch it on. And there won't be any of that bullshit that there used to be where I have to kind of like fight myself to get into the shower, like dragging a cat into a bath or some shit. I'll just get in and I'll do it. In fact, it'll feel weirder if I don't take a cold shower. If I were now to go in tomorrow and put the shower on warm, that would be really strange, right? That would probably actually be more uncomfortable. That's the thing. Self-improvement, a lot of the time, these kind of periods of monk mode, they kind of become their own form of comfort, their own form of mediocrity. You need to start to evolve past that. Once that burnout point is reached, there are 3 options for the modern man. Number 1, and the most common, is he goes back to his old ways, right? So self-improvement becomes this thing that is like more suffering than it is good. He's like, fuck this shit, bro. Like he goes back to the warm showers, to watching porn, to playing video games. He completely regenerates. He gave it a go. It wasn't for him, he says, and he goes back to all that shit again. He reached his point of burnout, and for him, it might have only been after 3 or 4 days. And he says, what the fuck am I doing, bro? I should never have listened to that TikTok. And he goes back to the same crap he was doing. Now, the second man does a bit better. He takes some time off, right? He gets the motivation back and he goes back onto self-improvement. He launches himself right back into it. He does all the same routine again. He works just as hard. But the thing is a month down the line, the exact same thing happens. He breaks, he snaps, he burns out again. It is that classic quote of, why do we keep doing the same thing every single time expecting different results? This is the thing with self-improvement, right? People follow these disciplined and regimented routines, and then a month down the line, they burn out and they do the whole fucking thing again, and then they sit there and they say, man, I don't know why I keep burning out, bro. Like, that's crazy. The third man, though, is different, and this is the man that succeeds, the enlightened man, who reaches this burnout point, and then he looks back and he says, right, so something didn't work there, but clearly self-improvement's the right answer. I'm not going to go back to my old ways, but I can't do that again. So what can I do? What is the middle way that will ensure I keep on all this self-improvement, but I don't burn out again? Like the Buddha did all those years ago, this enlightened man of self-improvement, he takes the middle way. The middle way, though, is not what it seems, bro. I'm not saying go back to like playing an hour of video games a day, because that's in between, or just watch porn once a week, because that's a compromise. The middle way means a complete reevaluation of all of your values. This is the man who has lived to extremes, right? He's lived the decadent life of the fucking addict, watching porn every day, playing video games, eating shitty junk food, and he's lived the cold, hard brutality of the fucking monk mode discipline. In between that though, he forages a new path because it is so clear to him, unlike so many other people, that he can't just go back to fucking fapping and wanking off his like life essence, but at the same time he can't go back to that disciplined monk mode lifestyle because he will burn out again. What the man needs to add back into his life is enjoyment, is a love for life, is this fire. Gone is the discipline of maintaining the no-fap streak, and in its place comes a discipline for fueling the fire. The man doesn't go back to warm showers, he doesn't go back to watching porn, he doesn't go back to watching TikTok, but he does this not because of discipline, not because of some blind faith that's telling him not to do this, but because he has a genuine will for it. Because he has realized through his enlightenment that he wants to do this for himself. That watching porn extinguishes his fire. That eating junk food destroys the kind of thumos within. He does these things now because he believes them to be right for himself. He believes that they build and fan the flames of his fire, rather than just blindly following them because someone on YouTube told him to. On the other hand, he realizes new things fuel his fire now too. Things the videos never spoke about. He realizes that spending time with his loved ones, with his wife, with his woman, fuel his fire. Spending time with his friends does the same thing. Reading a great fiction book or looking at a piece of art fuel his fire. He realizes now that he values so many more things. Nietzsche had this idea, right? On his path to becoming the Übermensch, the ultimate man, he said man goes through 3 transformations, or 2 transformations really. Man starts off as the camel. He starts off as the animal that bears the brunt of the world. So we're going to put this into the self-improvement context, right? So the camel is the guy who's been told about nofap, he's been told about monk mode, about meditation, and he puts those burdens onto himself. He loads himself up and he starts walking through the fucking desert, right? He says, I'm going to do this nofap streak. I'm going to get to 90 days. I'm going to meditate every single day. I am not going to drink alcohol. I will not go out with my friends. I will forego my relationships. Men going their own fucking way. I'm black-pilled and red-pilled as shit. He loads himself up with the self-improvement burdens and he walks into the desert. Of course though, one day when he gets halfway through, when he's in the desert, the burnout comes and he fucking snaps, right? He fucking snaps. His back breaks, he's lying on the floor, he's like, ah, meh. All this shit's all over on the floor. Now, there are 2 things he can do, 3 things he can do. Like we said before, the camel can go back to his old ways. He can regress back into the man and he can go back to his porn and all this shit. Number 2 is the camel can wait a bit, he'll recover, he'll get up, and then he'll keep walking through the desert, right? Or the 3rd thing is the camel can make his second metamorphosis and he can become the lion. Now the lion for Nietzsche embodied this kind of indomitable spirit, this force, this will. The lion for Nietzsche was in a war with the dragon. So the dragon in self-improvement is like the current self-improvement manosphere kind of thing. And on every single one of its scales, there is a word, there's a commandment. It says, thou shalt not watch porn, thou shalt meditate, thou shalt, I don't fucking know, take a cold shower every single day. What the lion does though is he roars and he defeats this dragon and he says, thou shalt, fuck you bitch, I will. And that is what he does. The lion has a will. He has this willingness for life. He says, I will not do things because I have been told to do them. I will do them because I want to do them. I will do this. Now that the self-improvement dragon has been slain, the man goes through his final transformation and he becomes the boy. He becomes the child once again. The spirit of innocence and freedom and joy who can recreate these values in his own image. He can say, do you know what? Actually, I really love reading. I really love making fires. I really love camping. He makes his own self-improvement. Self-improvement is all about building the fire, right? It's about developing yourself. Everyone will develop. And the thing is there is not a set list for everyone. For a lot of people, cold showers won't work. For a lot of people, quitting this or that won't work. Self-improvement is a great, broad brush tool, and it works so well for the camel, and then the lion decides that he will do these certain things. But it takes the child to realize that there are values that he loves, things that he gets fueled by, that people in self-improvement don't talk about, that were never on the lion's scales. And it's the power of the child to reintroduce these things into your life. So become the child and reintroduce beauty and love and art and all these things that you forgot because you were in monk mode and you were improving yourself. All these things that you didn't do and so brought you near to the point of extinction, my friend. Like, you can't keep going on in this cycle of burnout. You need to use this burnout point and evolve. There are two ways to go. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, burn out in increasingly shorter periods of time, or become the lion, say, I will do these things, and then become the child. Do you know what? Fuck the child, by the way. That's the one thing I hated about Nietzsche, bro. He was like, yeah, let's put a really cool animal like a lion. And then the last transformation is a boy. And I was like, bro, Nietzsche, like, you killed me there. So fuck it, right? It's just a lion. The lion says I will, and the lion also comes up with the new ideas too. So just be the lion. Go from the camel to the lion. That is the transformation you will take. Forget about the kid, right? It's a lion, bro. The whole thing's a lion. But yeah, take that transformation. Reevaluate all of your values. Decide what parts of self-improvement you actually enjoy. What parts that you think actually really benefit you. Start doing them because you want to do them. And then add in new values. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Leave a like and a comment. You'll find those right below the subscribe button. And join the Discord. It is a great place full of men just like you who are trying to better themselves, who are on this self-improvement journey. Come on there and talk to me and the other guys about your self-improvement journey, about your struggles. And yeah, also at the moment I've started doing these calls, right? So go back to the description and right underneath the Discord link, you will find a link to an application form. Fill that in, put your date and your time in, and book yourself in for a free, confidential, one-to-one call with me. Ask me anything. Ask me about life advice, about fucking reevaluating values, about Buddhism and NoFap and whatever you want, man. Just ask me anything you want. Anyway, I'll see you there. Thanks for watching the video. Manifest excellence. Goodbye.